The Noble Eightfold Path is often spoken of as if it were a distant ideal, a road reserved only for those who renounce the world or withdraw into silence. But this vision is far from what the Buddha taught. The path was never meant to pull you away from life. It was meant to guide you into it with clarity, stability, and inner mastery. Many people approach the path with the belief that ambition must be abandoned, that desire must be extinguished, that one must break ties with society in order to live righteously. Yet this misunderstanding arises not from the teaching itself, but from the lenses through which people look at it. The truth is that the Noble Eightfold Path is not an escape, but a framework for living fully. Right in the center of everyday responsibilities, relationships, conflicts, and aspirations. It was created not for monks alone, but for anyone who wishes to awaken the wisdom to handle life with steadiness and insight. When understood properly, the path reveals itself as a practical system that supports the modern human heart. It helps you gather the mind, the faculty that grounds your emotions and keeps you steady in the storms of life. It sharpens your vision, allowing you to see beyond immediate impulses and to understand the larger consequences of your choices. And it strengthens your talent, the ability to act, to persist, and to transform intentions into results that reflect your true values. This is why the path has endured across centuries, not as a rigid doctrine, but as a method of shaping your inner world so that your outer world becomes clear, balanced, and meaningful. In daily life, this becomes tangible. When tensions arise within your family or relationships, you do not allow silence to harden into resentment. You apply mindful and compassionate speech, the ability to express truth without harming, to resolve a misunderstanding before it becomes a wound. When the temptation toward shortcuts appears, particularly in work or money, you choose a path aligned with integrity, understanding that gain without conscience eventually steals more from you than it gives. Nothing needs to be abandoned. Instead, everything needs to be understood and done correctly. The struggles, failures, and emotional turmoil that people endure often do not come from the cruelty of the world, but from the inability to govern the self. When the mind lacks steadiness, emotions take control. When clarity is lost, confusion spreads. When purpose is unclear, even small obstacles feel overwhelming. And when skill is underdeveloped, even good intentions remain idle dreams. This is why suffering multiplies in modern life. People move fast, but without direction, pursue goals without understanding themselves, and react to external events without awareness of their internal world. The Noble Eightfold Path restores this inner foundation. It does not promise to remove every difficulty outside you, but it teaches you how to remain centered so that circumstances no longer determine the quality of your life. It guides you to make actions deliberate rather than impulsive, to build relationships consciously rather than emotionally, and to pursue aspirations that elevate rather than drain you. This is why the path should not be seen as a spiritual ornament, but as a manual for living with mastery in a world filled with distraction and pressure. Many misunderstandings arise simply because the teachings are heard but not deeply contemplated. People think the path requires one to renounce desire, yet desire itself is not the enemy. The Buddha was the embodiment of immense aspiration, the aspiration to awaken and help humanity transcend suffering. Aspiration becomes harmful only when clouded by greed, ego, or ignorance. Properly guided, it becomes the engine that drives growth, creativity, and meaningful contribution. People also believe that letting go means losing everything. But letting go simply means releasing what is harmful: anger, delusion, attachment, and distorted expectations. What remains afterward is clarity, strength, and a mind capable of navigating life with balance. When you understand this, you realize that the Noble Eightfold Path does not contradict modern life at all. In truth, it is the compass most suited for it. In a world overflowing with noise, temptation, and constant comparison, the path provides grounding, direction, and deep meaning. Instead of urging you to step away from society, it teaches you to participate in it with integrity. Instead of suppressing your dreams, it teaches you to refine them. Instead of abandoning the world, it teaches you how to walk through it without losing yourself. And because the modern world brings pressures that past generations never imagined, social expectations, digital overstimulation, emotional overload, the clarity of the path becomes even more essential. It shows you that the root of your experience is not the world outside, but the world within. Two people can face the same problem, but perceive it differently. One sees threat, another sees possibility. One reacts blindly, another responds wisely. What determines this difference is not luck, but the state of the mind. The Noble Eightfold Path begins by transforming how you see, think, speak, and act, so that you become capable of shaping life rather than being shaped by it. When aspirations are rightly oriented, when work is rooted in ethics, when speech is grounded in compassion, and when the mind is stable and aware, life becomes lighter, clearer, and more meaningful. Success becomes less of a frantic chase and more of a natural unfolding. Right view is the doorway through which your entire experience of life is shaped. It teaches you that the world you see is never just the world outside, but a reflection of the inner lens through which you look. The same situation can appear threatening to one person and full of opportunity to another. The same moment can lead one person to become resentful, while another grows wiser because of it. When fear becomes your lens, everything seems dangerous. When prejudice becomes your filter, truth becomes distorted. When emotions take the lead, clarity disappears. To cultivate right view is to wipe the dust from the mirror of your mind, so that you may finally see things as they are, rather than as your worries paint them. This is not merely an intellectual understanding. It is a profound shift in how you relate to reality. When you recognize that every action and every decision creates ripples that return to you, you stop blaming circumstances and begin looking inward. You stop reacting impulsively and begin responding with awareness. Instead of fighting with what is happening, you learn to understand it. Instead of trying to control everything outside, you focus on what can actually be shaped: your perception, your attitude, your choices. This is the foundation upon which all transformation begins, because without right perception, every step you take will veer off course. Practicing right view is not something achieved in a single moment. It is a continuous refinement that gradually brings your life into alignment with truth. Right. Thought grows naturally from this clarity. It is not just positive thinking or forced optimism. It is the ability to think correctly, wisely, and deeply, to guide the mind in a direction that leads to clarity, instead of confusion. When you practice right thought, you no longer allow assumptions, unresolved emotions, or old habits to determine your decisions. You learn to question your impulses and examine whether your thinking is shaped by fear, desire, anger, or inherited beliefs. Difficulties cease to be burdens and become opportunities to see yourself more clearly. When you find yourself overwhelmed by work or disconnected from meaning, right thought encourages you to pause and reflect. What am I pursuing? Does this align with my core values? This moment of honest reflection is what prevents a person from drifting aimlessly. Instead of living by pressure or routine, right thought helps you make choices that resonate with who you truly are. It brings balance to extremes, softening pessimism, grounding unrealistic expectations, calming emotional turbulence, and sharpening the sense of purpose. When your thinking becomes clear, steady, and directed, your actions follow with the same strength. You begin to build a life that is not only functional but meaningful. Step by step, thought by thought, you shape a direction that leads not toward confusion, but toward growth. Right speech extends this clarity into the way you interact with others. Every word you speak plants a seed. Some seeds grow into trust, connection, and healing, while others grow into misunderstanding, resentment, or pain. Words may seem small, but their impact travels far, sometimes lasting years in someone's heart. Right speech does not ask you to speak less. It asks you to speak with awareness. Before saying anything, you pause to ask yourself, is this true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? This simple moment of reflection transforms your communication. It protects you from speaking in anger, exaggeration, or judgment, habits that scatter negativity into your own mind long before they reach anyone else. Right speech reminds you that truth delivered without compassion can injure, while truth spoken with humility can guide and uplift. It teaches you that silence can sometimes be wiser than words, because not every truth needs to be expressed bluntly. In giving feedback, instead of criticizing harshly, you offer words that help others feel understood while still encouraging growth. When you avoid deception, manipulation, gossip, and divisive speech, you purify not only your relationships, but your own inner world. A person who practices right speech becomes someone others trust and feel safe with. You build an environment where clarity is possible and connection becomes deeper. In time, you realize that the practice of mindful communication is not just a way to avoid conflict, but a way to build a life filled with respect, harmony, and genuine presence. Right action deepens this harmony by bringing integrity into the physical world. It teaches that every action, no matter how small, contributes to the person you become. Wrong actions, those rooted in harm, dishonesty, or selfishness, may bring temporary gain, but they corrode the mind and lead to a life filled with hidden consequences. Right action invites you to choose the path that aligns with your values, even when no one is watching. It is not limited to avoiding wrongdoing. It includes consciously choosing actions that bring benefit, kindness, and stability to yourself and others. A small act of generosity, a moment of patience, a decision made with integrity, these shape your character and set the direction of your life. When faced with temptation or shortcuts, right action acts as a quiet but firm guide, reminding you that what you build with honesty will stand longer than anything built on deception. You learn that success without integrity is hollow. while success rooted in right conduct brings lasting peace. When your actions align with your highest values, your life becomes coherent, grounded, and uplifted. You walk through the world with a sense of inner dignity that cannot be shaken by circumstances. Right livelihood reminds you that your work is never just about earning money. It is the ground upon which your character grows, and the daily environment in which your mind either becomes peaceful or restless. How you make a living influences not only your stability, but also the meaning of your life. A livelihood that depends on harming others, even subtly, gradually harms your own inner world. It creates tension, guilt, fear, or a constant sense of imbalance that no amount of wealth can compensate for. But a livelihood aligned with integrity becomes a source of peace. It allows you to sleep at night with a mind free of conflict. It strengthens your confidence because you know that every achievement reflects not only your effort, but your ethics. Choosing the right way to live does not require perfection or grand heroism. It invites you to reflect honestly. Does this work align with my values? Does what I do contribute or harm? Even if your circumstances limit your choices, the awareness itself begins to shift your direction. Right livelihood is not about finding the most noble job in the world, but about walking a path where you can look back without regret. When you work with sincerity, honesty, and compassion, refusing to deceive, refusing to exploit, you not only build a sustainable career, but also create an environment where others feel safe, respected, and inspired. Over time, you realize that the greatest wealth is not material possession, but inner peace, and that a life rooted in ethics becomes a testament to who you truly are. Right effort teaches that progress is not achieved by pushing yourself relentlessly, nor by allowing life to drift without direction. It reveals the middle path between laziness and burnout, showing you how to move forward with purpose while protecting your well-being. Many people equate effort with constant struggle, believing that working harder automatically leads to success. But blind effort merely drains energy and clouds judgment. Right effort begins with clarity, knowing what truly matters and investing your time accordingly. When your goal is clear, every step is meaningful. When your mind is scattered, even great effort leads nowhere. This teaching encourages persistence, not pressure. It teaches resilience, not exhaustion. When obstacles arise, you do not interpret them as signs of failure, but as opportunities to grow stronger and wiser. You learn to overcome procrastination not by force, but by understanding why the mind avoids discomfort. You develop discipline not through punishment, but through aligning your actions with what you genuinely value. And just as importantly, right effort reminds you that rest is part of progress. A mind and body that are nourished produce deeper insight and more effective action. By practicing balanced diligence, you learn to advance with steadiness, cutting through distraction and maintaining momentum without sacrificing your inner harmony. Over time, proper effort becomes a rhythm, a calm, unwavering movement toward growth. Mindfulness brings the teachings into the present moment, grounding your awareness in the one place where life actually happens. In a world filled with noise, distraction, and constant stimulation, the mind becomes scattered, jumping from worry to memory, from fear to fantasy. Mindfulness calls you home. It teaches you to observe your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. without running from them, and without being pulled into their storms. When you are mindful, you no longer react blindly. You respond with clarity. Anger loses its immediacy because you see it forming. Anxiety loosens its grip because you watch it instead of becoming it. Mindfulness reveals that the true source of suffering is not the world outside, but the stories the mind tells about it. In the smallest moments, drinking a cup of tea, breathing, walking, listening, you rediscover the richness of being fully alive. In difficult situations, mindfulness becomes your anchor. When someone's words sting or stress rises sharply, you pause, breathe, and return to yourself. This pause creates space, and in that space, wisdom appears. You choose your next action consciously rather than impulsively. Through mindfulness, life slows just enough for you to see clearly, to feel deeply, and to act with intention. Over time, mindfulness is no longer a practice you do. It becomes the way you live. Right. Concentration strengthens this foundation by cultivating a calm, steady mind, one that remains centered even when life becomes chaotic. Concentration does not mean withdrawing from responsibility or seeking silence far from the world. It means developing the ability to anchor your awareness so your mind does not scatter into 1,000 distractions. When your mind is agitated, even small problems feel overwhelming and decisions become clouded. When your mind is yet able, even large challenges become manageable. Right concentration teaches you to return to the present with full dedication, whether you are working, speaking, resting, or facing adversity. This depth of presence sharpens your judgment and reveals truth beneath the noise. In moments of pressure, it helps you breathe deeply, see priorities clearly, and release unnecessary tension. A mind trained in concentration becomes like a mountain, calm at its core, despite the winds around it. And yet concentration is not rigid. It is soft, flexible, responsive. It opens a doorway to deeper understanding, allowing you to see the nature of problems, the roots of habits, and the patterns of your life with greater clarity. When the mind becomes still, insight becomes possible. You begin to see not only the surface of events, but their deeper meaning. Over time, right concentration transforms not just your emotional life, but your entire way of being, enabling you to walk through the world with calm authority and unshakable inner strength. When all 8 elements of the path begin to settle into your life, something deeper starts to take shape within you. The teachings are no longer separate ideas, but a living structure that strengthens the heart, sharpens the vision, and awakens the talent within you. Heart is the foundation of kindness, patience, and emotional clarity, the ability to respond with understanding rather than react with anger or greed. It softens the inner noise so that compassion becomes your natural language. Vision expands your awareness beyond the narrow frame of immediate emotions or short-term desires. It teaches you to recognize consequences, to understand the value of long-term integrity, and to perceive the subtle patterns that shape your destiny. Talent is the force that turns aspiration into action. It is your persistence, your willingness to learn, your courage to rise again, and your discipline to continue walking even when the path becomes steep. With these 3 qualities intertwined, you become capable not only of living a meaningful life, but also of uplifting those around you. Your presence becomes grounding, your clarity becomes guidance, your compassion becomes strength. The Noble Eightfold Path does not ask you to transform your entire life overnight. Instead, it invites you to begin with gentle steps, a shift in how you perceive, a shift in how you think, a shift in the words you choose, a shift in the actions you take, a shift in how you earn your living, a shift in how you approach effort, a shift in how you remain aware, a shift in how you anchor your mind. Each small shift nudges your life into a deeper harmony. And over time, these small shifts converge into profound transformation. You begin to notice that stress no longer overwhelms you the way it once did. Conflicts dissolve more easily. Decisions become clearer. Relationships gain depth. And purpose arises where once there was confusion or emptiness. The path does not remove all storms from your life, but it teaches you how to walk through them with grace, how to stand in the center of chaos without losing yourself, and how to turn every challenge into an opportunity to return to your true nature. Life is, at its essence, a journey of continuous transformation. You shed old habits, old perspectives, old wounds, and in their place, new clarity appears. The Noble Eightfold Path becomes the bridge between who you are now and who you have the potential to become. It helps you reclaim authority over your inner world, reminding you that freedom is not a place but a state of mind. Peace and happiness are not distant ideals, reserved for a chosen few. They are always within reach, waiting for the moment you decide to walk toward them with sincerity. When you follow the path with patience, you discover a quiet strength rising from within, a strength that allows you to face uncertainty without fear, to meet difficulties with understanding, and to meet yourself with compassion. And when these teachings begin to touch your life in a tangible way, a natural desire arises to share that clarity with others. Wisdom does not belong to one person. It shines more brightly when it is shared. As you walk this journey, may your mind remain clear, your heart remain gentle, and your steps remain steady. And may the insights you discover become a source of strength, not only for yourself, but also for those who cross your path. If the reflections here have brought value to your life and opened new dimensions of understanding, let this be the beginning of a deeper journey. May you continue walking forward with presence, intention, and the quiet confidence that comes from mastering your inner world. The life you seek is not far away. It begins the moment you choose to live with awareness, wisdom, and compassion.